Now let's look at US. So use the space given in your lecture notes. Take out half the page of space given. Okay, so let's learn how to draw and interpret the Phillips curve. Put in the zero axis will always be useful. Put in percentage if you want to remind yourself. You're not looking at absolute numbers, you're looking at percentage. Okay, so remember, mark out UN first. And put in a number if you want. So if we are talking about US, for example, this is like 6.9%. And assume you are there first. Okay, so tell yourself this means you are at full employment. So in other words, wage setting has already ended and it will be equalized to price setting. So workers will not adjust wages anymore. Firms will not adjust prices anymore. So much so, wage setting depends on expected price, which is translated as expected inflation. Firms already set prices, the change is finalized, and equals to wage setting, it means this is equals to pi 1. It takes you literally, 2 to 3 seconds to label A1. But it takes you almost 5 minutes when you go home to interpret it. You don't have to write out this behavior, but when you study on your own, you must know what is happening. A lot of times students don't know how to read pi E, and they do not know what is pi E. They don't even know why is it there. Right? It is actually wage setting. It has settled with price setting. That in terms of percentage, they are equal. Okay? I'm not saying that wages equals to prices. I'm just saying that the percentage change is the same. Right? So take note. I'll put this is not P equals to W. They are not. It's just the percentage change is the same. So with that, draw in one set of Phillips curve. C1. So trigger the change. So now the question says, alright, you're facing a recession. So you move to U2. Okay, so this is step 1. So if the economy is facing a recession, it means you have low aggregate demand, your output falls, your labor demand drops. That's why your unemployment is higher. Some of you may recall, Y and U goes opposite direction. It's known as Okun's law. Okay, and this will be taught in topic 8 later on. But even if you don't remember what is Okun's law, this analysis is very logical. Recession is a period that firms and households don't spend. So firms cut back output. They rather sell the goods in the warehouse. So if you don't produce goods, you cut back on the use of labor, you retrench the workers. But to know that unemployment is serious, right, you must say it increased to U2, but must be more than the UN. So unemployment rate increase itself is not a problem until you compare to the natural rate. This point must hit home. Right? Unemployment is only serious when it exceeds the natural rate. Okay, so in this case, we go to step 2. We're going to apply WSPS. So unemployment rate goes up, wages goes down. This is wage setting. I didn't write the equation, I just write in words. Workers will bid down wages. Then price setting, be careful, don't say prices drop, but we say price will still increase, but slower. So therefore, pi drops to pi 2. So look at your step 1 and 2. All of you can do it. It's a very logical wage and price setting behavior. Just that now, be very careful with here. Right? Don't happily say price drop. Price drop is inflation. It's terribly harmful. Prices still go up because of oil and food prices. But slower because wages slow down. So you go to the diagram. Mark out your point B, which will reflect your pi 2. So firm starts to slow down the increase in prices. Wages goes down. Okay, then step 3. Because pi drops, pi E will drop. You must always remember, when you write down your step 3, this takes months to happen. Right? For economists to measure pi E has dropped, it takes months. It's not immediate. None of us will call up, right, the Ministry of Finance and say, I think prices is going to go down. Nobody do that. Government has to do surveys. It has to do market research. So when we write down step 3, it takes a long time. But in the diagram, all we know is, therefore, the Phillips curve, we call it SRPC, shift down to point A2. Because to reach expected price level, it can only occur at UN. Because when U equals to UN, then we can see the pi P. Right, so in this case, go to the diagram. This is your pi E2. And this is your A2. So that gives you, right, the Phillips curve lying right below PC1. So conceptually, it means pi E drops. Okay, so I'll come back to the diagram. Wages continue to drop. It did drop one round in the beginning because of the recession. They will retrench, right? So in this case, to find jobs, they offer lower wages. But now in step 4, they continue to ask for wages to go down. It's because they know prices don't increase so fast. You must think about the economic situation. If I am employed, I want to keep my job, and I saw that things are not as expensive as expected, I will offer my wages to be trimmed. I will do that so that I can secure my job. Okay? But look at firms. Firms have to sell the goods at a much slower pace of price increase, but wages also continue to drop. Okay, so look at the W over P. Okay, both drop, but I put a double arrow here. Right, real wage is W over P, but the W keep dropping. The numerator drops faster than the denominator. So real wage overall drops. are two pressures, there's two forces going downwards. Prices drop, but the wages was pushed another round downwards. W over P goes down. Okay, equivalent to say cost of production goes up for the workers, for the firm, should I say. Labor demand goes up. Right, so unemployment rate will drop until you end at A2. So this is always the very tedious step 4. You also have to think about it very logically. When you have periods of unemployment, if workers start to slash salary, you want to hire them. Because you know the economy will recover. You don't wait until economy to recover, then you start producing goods. You always produce goods and put in the warehouse. So when will you produce? When the workers are cheap. But you won't hire too many first, right? You will hire in a very slow pace. So that's why you can see the firm's behavior is more tricky. Workers' behavior is easily understood. Workers only look at unemployment rate and expected price level. You know what happens to W. But it is labor demand, right, that affects unemployment in the subsequent round that is very tricky, which is your step 4. Remember, in the exam, if this is a true-false question, 5 marks. You want to earn, say, a 3. You stop at step 3, you're almost there. Right? So you cannot drop this concept at all. I know it's difficult, it's abstract, but don't get yourself a chance to score 0. Okay, so go back to the diagram and you can see you were at point B, wages continue to drop. Okay, but the firms already didn't change the prices already. The price already stagnated. So price change is already at a given percentage. But unemployment starts to dip. So you can just put in an arrow to show yourself. Remember, what makes you not fully able to grasp is because all these values are in percentage. You keep thinking they are values. They are not. They are percentage. When you say 2%, it means it still increase. But at 2. Wages still increase. Right? Okay, but at 1. So the workers will find, the firms will find it cheaper. So take some time. Remember, the main hindrance for you to understand this concept is always the percentage. If you take it as absolute value, all your analysis will get lopsided. Okay, then of course, if you want to join up A1 and A2, okay, and that was your long run Phillips graph. Again, you can see change in pi was negative. Pi 2 minus pi 1 is negative. But change in unemployment rate is 0. You start at UN, you end at UN. So that's why the modern Phillips curve will show there is no trade-off. There is no inverse relationship between the two concepts. Okay? So, we all hate the Phillips curve. I tell all my students, since XX years ago when I was a JC student, I hated the Phillips curve. I couldn't understand a single thing. Then we go uni, the same. Right? Then do postgrad, still the same. The line just don't improve. Every year we only draw like that. You know, we always wish there's a simple, or somebody comes up with a better model, but similarly, no. This is the only model. Okay, so it's not easily grasped, and we really phantom the reason is they're all in percentage. So don't overstudy. Labor market is actually a very difficult topic in economics. It's harder than money market. Money market, at least you can phantom buy or sell bonds. Here, you have to understand the workers' behavior and the firm's behavior. It's a little bit of microeconomics. So that's why, sometimes you wonder,
Okay, except with the exception of UOL. In other universities, if you want to do macro, you must do micro first one. You cannot do macro alone one. It doesn't make sense. You need the micro foundation. So some of you who don't do micro, you find this very hard. Because it's all about basic demand supply, monopolistic competition. Some of you know there's this backward bending supply curve. Alright, all these are actually inside, but we cannot reteach already. Okay, so that would wrap up our discussion on topic 7. So I would say for the coming prelims at the end of February, if you think that you're not ready